Hello, my name is Betsy Opyt. I'm a registered dietitian and welcome to my kitchen. A lot of my friends call me Betsy Crocker because I like to cook healthy. I've been a registered dietitian now for over 11 years and my favorite thing to do is to take a recipe, spice it up, and make it healthier. So the recipe I'm bringing to you today is actually from my newsletter I create. I have a functional food recipe that I add to my newsletter every month, and it is the month of April, so I figured why not add a little healthy dessert in here for your Easter Sunday brunch. It's a spiced cake mix, and actually we're going to be doing it in a cupcake version today. So there's some special ingredients in this recipe that make it healthy, and I'll be sure to explain those along the way. So why don't you go ahead and get your utensils, get your healthy ingredients out, and come cook with me. What we're going to be doing is starting with the dry ingredients for this recipe. Now there's two specific types of flours that we're going to be using. We're going to use your traditional all-purpose white flour, but we're going to blend this with a whole wheat pastry flour. Now I don't know if you've ever used whole wheat pastry flour or you even have heard of it. I'm sure you've heard of whole wheat flour, but this is a different version of a flour. It comes from a different type of wheat berry that's a little bit lighter in texture, which is great and excellent in baked goods. I've been using whole wheat pastry flours in my cookies for a very long time. So we're going to do an equal blend of each. It's 3/4 cups of white flour and 3/4 cups of whole wheat pastry flour mixed together. So we're going to put this in a bowl. We're going to add to it our spices, and we're also adding in a little bit of baking soda. So it's a teaspoon of cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of ground cloves and ground nutmeg, and 1½ teaspoons of the baking soda. Now if you're looking for this recipe, if you want to log on to my website, www.healthyconceptsconsulting.com, you can sign up for my monthly newsletters. You can actually request the month of April from 2011 to pull up this recipe if you wish. Alright, so we added our flours, our seasonings. We're going to now add a little bit of the sea salt. It's a pinch of sea salt, so we'll just use a little bit of that in there. We'll add that with our spices. Okay, so we have all of our dry ingredients here. We're just going to gently mix them together to incorporate the different types of flours along with the seasonings. We're going to add some brown sugar in. I'm sorry, I forgot this ingredient. Very important here to have a little sugar. Now to 1/2 cup of the brown sugar. Now if you're looking for an alternative to make this slightly less sweet, if you're diabetic or just concerned about sugar content in general, there's some different products out there you can use as a substitution. There's one out there also called Waylo, and it is a brown sugar blend. It has a little bit less calories per serving. So 1 teaspoon has 4 calories, regular table sugar has 15 calories. And this is actually a blend of fructose and whey sugars mixed together. Okay, so we're going to add that brown sugar in. Don't want to forget about that. Okay, we're adding 4 ounces of olive oil. Okay, now to the good stuff. We're actually putting tomato juice into our spiced cake mix recipe. And you're probably thinking, tomato juice? Well, tomatoes are very high in a lot of specific vitamins and minerals, and especially lycopene. They're an excellent source of vitamin C, vitamin A. It also has potassium, folate, iron, calcium, magnesium, and antioxidants. So a lot of benefits to tomatoes. Now tomatoes and the lycopene, actually the lycopene intensifies when you cook the tomato, which is great because we're going to bake this recipe. So I have 8 ounces of fresh V8 juice. Now you could use a tomato juice. I chose V8 just because you can buy the low sodium varieties, and we're always conscious about sodium, so that's why I chose that. So there's 8 ounces of V8 juice going into here. One of my favorite ingredients, vanilla. Vanilla spices up everything, so it has such a wonderful flavor. So 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. Okay. Now we get to the really healthy stuff. We're going to incorporate our carrots. Now you can shred carrots, you can grate carrots for this recipe. I was a little lazy and I got the matchstick carrots, so I just broke them up into little pieces. It makes it a lot faster if you're looking for quick and convenience like I'm usually looking for. So anyways, it's a 1/2 cup of carrots. Now carrots, if you can see the beautiful color here, the nice bright orange color contains a lot of beta-carotene. And as you know, beta-carotene, once it's ingested into the body, will convert into vitamin A, which vitamin A is very good for our eyesight. Actually, cooking the carrot will help release more of the nutrients, which is great. We're going to bake this recipe. So we have 1/2 cup of carrots. And the last thing I'm going to add in are raisins. So we have some nice, you can get the golden colored ones. I just have your regular old dark colored raisins. I have 1/2 cup of these. So they're going to plump up in the recipe. And every time you take that nice juicy bite, you're going to get a wonderful flavor of a raisin. So one great way to sweeten the recipe without having to add a lot of additional sugar. So much more natural. Alright, so we're just going to incorporate these ingredients together. So I'll just kind of incorporate, as you can see here. The nice color has a wonderful flavor. You will not taste any tomato juice at all. So if you have really picky kids at home, kids that won't eat any vegetables, this is one great sweet way to get some vegetables into their diet. Now, they might pick out the carrots if they're not big into carrots, but if you actually grate the carrots fine enough, they won't even notice there's carrots in here. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and incorporate this and put them into our muffin tin. So you can again do it in a loaf or an actual cake sheet, but I'm doing cupcake versions here today for you. And we will be icing them later. You don't have to add icing. They're actually great tasting enough not to put the icing on. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to make icing. I hate store-bought icing. If you look at the first ingredient, it's partially hydrogenated oils. That's trans fats, like worst thing for your body. So I'm going to show you an icing recipe that actually incorporates egg whites, cream of tartar, and sugar. I mean, how much more natural can that be? So, anyways, we're going to add our mix into the muffin tin. And then we're going to set the oven at 350. And we're going to bake these for 15 minutes. We'll come out, we'll let them cool. I'll show you the icing recipe. And then the best part we get to enjoy. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put this into the oven. Set the timer 15 minutes. And we're good to go. We'll see you in a bit. Hi, I'm Betsy Opyt. Welcome back to my nice cooking demonstration. We were just finishing up the Spiced Cake Cupcakes, and they should be about done. So let's take a look in the oven and see what we have here. Golden, delicious, and healthy. So we're just going to set these aside to let them cool while we put together the nice, healthier version of an icing recipe. Now for this recipe, making icing, as I mentioned earlier, do not go to the store and buy store-bought icing. It's basically a partially hydrogenated oil type product, which is trans fats. You can very easily make icing at home in literally 7 minutes, hence the 7-minute icing recipe. It really incorporates egg whites, sugar, water, and cream of tartar and vanilla. Those are the only ingredients in this recipe. It just takes a little time and effort to mix it up, but it's well worth the time. So you have a double broiler. You're just going to boil up some of the water here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use sugar. I have 1.5 cups of just plain white table sugar. So you're just going to add that in. Okay. We're also going to add 6 tablespoons of cold water, 2 egg whites, and 1/2 teaspoon of the cream of tartar. Okay. Now you're going to wait to add the vanilla until the end. So basically that's it. That's as easy as it is. Now if you want to make the substitution of a different type of sugar, you can. If you want to lower the caloric content, you can use a way low product. You could use other versions of sugar substitutes. I don't know how they will quite turn out because I usually just use sugar. So now once we have all the ingredients in the double broiler, you're going to beat for 7 minutes. That's it. So we're going to set our timer 7 minutes and we'll beat away. We'll be back in 7 minutes. I just finished up for the 7-minute icing, beating it for 7 minutes. Basically, you want to beat it until you have nice peaks such as this. So it might take a little bit longer than 7 minutes, which is okay. It's worth the time. So once you get your nice soft peaks, all we need to do is add vanilla. So we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And just going to mix that vanilla in. Some nice flavor. So we just took a icing recipe, just to recap here, 2 egg whites, 1.5 cups of sugar, 6 tablespoons of water, and 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. We beat it for 7 minutes on a double broiler. And what we have here is a nice icing. We're going to incorporate a little bit of icing onto our nice, yummy Spiced Cake Cupcakes. And you have a much healthier version of a spiced cake mix that you may use for your family. So from my kitchen to yours, this is Betsy Opyt. You can get this recipe and sign up for my newsletter at www.healthyconceptsconsulting.com. Thanks. Have a healthy day.